Hello, my name is Molly and welcome to the Foundation series. The class you're going to see today is the second week of my 6-week series that's designed specifically for beginner adult dancers. So this is not so much if you're an absolute beginner, because I'm not going to go into detail around what each individual step is. Rather, we're going to be working on technique concepts. For example, week 1 was focusing a lot on posture and placement, and then this week we're going to be diving into Tendus and Turnout as well. If you enjoy today's class and you'd like to have access to the full series, then you can be the first to know when it's completed. If you just go to my website at Ballet.IQ.com and you just place in your email, then you'll be the first to be notified. If you are an absolute beginner and you would like a more detailed breakdown of the basic steps in ballet, I also have an absolute beginners course, which I would recommend to anyone who's never done ballet before rather than this class, because you kind of need to have an understanding of those basic movements first. So you can also go to my website and I've got a full absolute beginners course if that's something that you're interested in. So yeah, enjoy this class. I'll be uploading some more beginner classes soon, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out. Anyway, let's get into class. Hi guys, welcome back to the Foundation series. We're now in week 2. Hopefully you had a chance to revisit some of the key concepts from week 1, as we will be building on that base this week, working on 2 essential parts of ballet, which is Tendus and Turnout. This week is all about understanding how to use our turnout, how to apply our turnout into specific exercises at the bar. And we'll also spend quite a bit of time on Tendus. So we'll do quite a few Tendus exercises to develop clean, articulate movement. There's no specific reason why I put these 2 concepts together. I just thought that Tendus and Turnout sounded really cool. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's get into it. All right, let's begin with a warm-up exercise. We'll start in first position. And we're going to go demi-plie and stretch. Rising up onto the demi-point, squeezing down. Tendu the right foot out to the side, really articulating through the foot. Then we're going to flex and point and close. To go again, demi-plie and stretch. Rise, squeezing down. Same foot out to the side. Flex, point, and close. Then we'll do it on the left. Demi, stretch, rise, lower. Tendu the left foot, flex, point, close. Demi, and rise. And then same thing, flex, point, close. Then we'll finish with a balance, so rising up into first position, and then taking the hands off the bar. Nice long balance. If you need to try this a few times, we'll stay here for quite a few counts. So if you need to grab hold of the bar again and then try a second time, that's fine. Even though this is just a warm-up exercise, I already want you to start thinking about articulating through the feet and starting to separate the toes from the ankle. So instead of just kind of pointing out like that, we're finding that demi-point and we're passing through it. And even in this flex here, separating the ankle and the toes. This will really help us develop the strength that we need in the lower legs and the feet. Try and stay if you can. Good, coming down. All right, good job. For our plie exercise today, we're going to do the same combination as last week, so really simple, but instead of the focus being on the pelvic alignment, we're going to start to work a little bit more on the turnout. Last week we spoke about what position the pelvis needs to stay in as we're going up and down in the plie, so making sure we're not tucking or sitting back in the hips, so we're just really going straight up and down. Now I want you to think about how we're going to use our turnout while we're maintaining the position of the pelvis. So when we go down into the demi-plie, I want you to really focus on what is initiating the movement. So instead of thinking of just bending and stretching the knees, while it looks like I'm doing a plie correctly, which I am, the way that we really build strength in turnout is by focusing on it constantly in class. So always trying to maximize our turnout if we can. The best way to do that with a plie is initiating the movement from the turnout. So I'm thinking about wrapping the legs around, still maintaining that length at the front of the hips, but I'm trying to get my inner thighs forward and I'm wrapping legs around. And then that is what initiates the movement of the plie rather than just going down and up, if that makes sense. It's almost like you're drilling into the floor, right? So you're spiraling the legs around as you go down into the plie. And if you do that with me now, you already feel more connection to those rotators. Same thing when we go into the grand plie, it's just a continuation of that sensation, okay? So same exercise we've been doing with a slightly different focus. We have 2 4-count demi-plies. So 2 counts down, 1, 2, coming up 3, 4. Thinking about initiating the movement from the top of the thighs and coming up. Into your grand plie, 4 counts still. Opening the thighs, tendu into second position. We'll repeat the same thing in second. Just a reminder that when you go into the grand plie, the heels stay into the floor in second position. Then we'll go back to first, and then the music will actually stop, and then I'll restart it, and then we'll do the left side. So the left side is exactly the same, we just take the left foot out to go into second position. Good work. Now we'll do the left side. Make sure the knees are going over the toes, so don't let the knees roll forward. Into your front plie, keeping the chest up. done. We'll now get into a few Tendus exercises. Now, I just want to say, if you're watching this video, it's likely that you're completely new or very new to ballet. And if you're not used to using your feet in the way that we do in ballet, it's very common to cramp. I've actually never had a cramp, so I don't know what it feels like, but I know that it can be quite painful. As you get stronger and as you practice more, then you know, most people find that they cramp less. But I just want you to know it's very common. As we go through these exercises, if you feel like that it's getting too much and too painful and you're cramping a lot, you know, you can always skip through a couple of these exercises and you can always return to this video. So as you get stronger over time, this will become easier and you can always come back and keep practicing and keep building that strength. All right, so we'll start in first position. And we're going to do Tendus devant. 1, 2, 3, 4, in one count, 5. Then we'll lower the heel, 6, 7, 8. And then we repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lower the heel, 6. Really connecting to that turnout. So try not to just lower the heel like that. We want to try and feel that inner thigh and that wrap of the leg, trying to get that heel forward. Feel that connection at the top, articulate through and close. And then we go to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All about articulating through the demi point and here as you lower as well and point, close. Then we go to the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can take the hands off the bar if you need to here. 7, 8, and then again, 1. It's not quite this fast. In, out, lower the heel, stretch, close, and then we go to the side again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pelvis in between the 2 feet. 7, 8, and then last one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then the music will stop and then we'll do the left separately. Apart from the things that I've already said about articulating through the feet and then, you know, trying to find the turnout as you lower the heel, same to the side and same to the back. So trying to get that heel underneath you and pelvis in between the 2 feet. Also thinking about making sure the knees are straight. Tendus, as we know, means to stretch. And we not only think about stretching the feet and stretching the toes, but we also have to think about stretching the knee. And this is a really good exercise to really try and focus on pulling up that knee as you lower. So you're flexing the foot essentially as you place it down on the floor, but you're trying to maintain this stretch in the knee if you can. All right, a lot to think about. Let's give it a go. That's a lot for the same leg. Let's try the left. just go into a plie or stretch out the calves, anything that you need. And then we'll move on to more tendus. We're now going to do some tendus from third. So if you remember from last week, I said that I really struggled to work from third position after years of just doing fifth, because we know that third position's not so common in more advanced classes. You tend to replace third position for fifth. So if you see me work from fifth, or if I say fifth position, then just please work from third. I don't know why I can't break the habit, but I just can't. I'll try my best, but if I say fifth position, or if you see me cross all the way to fifth, just know that you don't have to do fifth position unless you want to, unless you can. You can just work from third, okay? So let's start with the right foot in front. So now that we're going to be doing some tendus in a cross position, I want you to focus on that slicing sensation, and you're really thinking about the thighs crossing as you close. So starting in third, we're going to do 1 tendu, 2 first, tendu, then we'll close behind. Tendu, 2 first, tendu, close in front. Tendu, close behind. Tendu, close in front to the side. This time we plie through second position, transfer, similar to what we did last week, and then we'll close in front. And then we do the other side. Out, first, out, close behind. So you just keep alternating. Out, first, out, close in front. Then we change. And on the third one, transfer, and then close in front. All right? So that's the pattern. Tendu, first, tendu, third. Tendu, first, tendu, third. Out, third, out, third, out, plie, transfer, close in front. So then you can go back to first position and then you close behind on the second side. So like I said, thinking about that slice and that cross, one of the mistakes I see when we start to work in third or fifth is, especially in fifth position, but sometimes it happens in third as well, is that we lose the turnout as we close. So from this second position here, we want to keep the inner thigh wrapping around, so you keep spiraling that leg. Should be a lot of work. Same with the supporting leg, you're spiraling that in the opposite direction, so they're both working, and then they slice together as you close, and we don't lose the turnout as you come in. So you're really feeling that inner thigh crossing, 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 crossing as you close. Should feel quite intense in those inner thighs. Let's try. Still trying to go through the feet here. Lifting up as you close. Good work. This next exercise I know you're going to love. We're going to do 24 glisses on each leg. Okay, so lots of repetition. If you're not sure what a glisse is, it's essentially just a continuation of a tendu. If you think about a tendu, the toes go to the floor. A glisse is slightly off the floor. So last week we did jeté, which is a little bit higher than a glisse. Jeté, you think it's a throwing action, and it's a little bit higher. Glisse is just off the floor, so like an inch off the floor. Sometimes it's also in some techniques called dégagé, because you're disengaging from the floor. So if you hear dégagé, glisse, it means the same thing. We're going to do 24 glisses to the side with the accent in. So when we're talking about the accent in, we want to be in this starting position on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the music. So if you think about 24 counts, that's 3 lots of 8. So you can break it down into 3 rounds of 8 if that's easier. Works better with the phrasing. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see on the accent of the music, I'm in the starting position rather than being out. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, that would mean the accent's out. Hopefully you understand that. So accent in, we're in on the count. accent out, we're out on the count. So that means that we need to use the and count to get in. So we go 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2, and 3 for the glissé. Yeah, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, demi-plie, stretch, rise, all on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So when we do a glissé, using the inner thighs to bring it in, it's not too fast, so eventually we want to be able to do this movement quite quickly, and this is really good preparation for things like jumps, because you're articulating through the foot, you're using the foot to lift you off, and then you're articulating again as you're coming down. So it's almost like you're landing from a jump. We're really focusing on the inner thighs and stretching the legs as much as we can. Also make sure with this glissé it doesn't get too high. So make sure you know it's not 45 degrees, just off the floor every single time. Let's try. Lovely. I know that you loved that one. Okay, we're now going to step away from Tendus and we're going to focus a little bit more on turnout. Let's go into some rondejumps. We will begin this rondejump exercise in first position. So we'll do 2 4-count rondejumps and then 1 8-count rondejump off the floor. So starting with en dehors, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, close 8. And then we're going to do the whole thing en dedans, starting with the back. 1, 2, trying to get that heel around, spiral the leg. 3, 4. Again, 5, 6, 7, 8. Off the floor. 1, 2, 3. Arrive in second position on 4 so you can really feel that turnout. Make sure you're not here, yeah? So you're thinking about rotating that leg all the way around. Keep that spiral so that heel's coming around all the way to devant. Point, close back to first position. Then we're going to finish the same way we did last week. So port de bras over to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, coming up 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn the head to the right shoulder, up and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, coming up 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we'll finish on demi-point with a balance. Hands off the bar, nice long balance. I think it's 16 counts, and then we'll finish. So yeah, you can try that balance a few times if you don't get it straight away. And then we'll stop the music and we'll start again for the left. And when we go off the floor, what I want you to focus on is, again, always focusing on the turnout for this exercise. But when we take it off the floor, we have that added challenge of trying to keep that leg in a nice, seamless transition through each position. We want to really avoid kind of doing that as we take the leg around. I would always say to my students, if you imagine like you have a marker attached to your big toe and a big sheet of paper, you want the line to be very smooth as you're drawing that semicircle around. The rule of thumb is usually low to high or same height around. We never want to go high to low. So if You know, for something like this, we're thinking sort of 25 degrees as we go around. I want you to focus on keeping it at the same height. As we become more advanced and the legs go up a little bit higher, then we start to talk about sort of raising it as you go around. But you know, we don't need to worry about that too much right now. So trying to focus on keeping a nice even semicircle, okay? Nice and slow. Don't lose the turnout as you go to the back. Let's do left. Shoulder square. High demi point. Try and hold this. Stay. Relax. Good work. Moving on to Batman Fondue now, we're going to do the same exercise that we did last week, but we're going to shift the focus slightly. So instead of just thinking about, you know, the placement of the pelvis and the posture in the upper body, we're now going to focus a little bit more on the turnout of both legs. I love fondues and rond de jambes because they're so good for connecting to your turnout muscles. So starting off in third position, if you remember, I said third position and I went straight to fifth. So third position, we're going to go 1 and 2 and in and down. So you can already see here how great this exercise is for, you know, feeling that wrap of the legs. To the side and out and in and down. Then we go to the back. 1 and 2 and in and stretch. Articulate through the feet. We're going to lift, pass to the front, lifting again, articulating through the demi point and close. And then you're ready to start on the left. This should definitely ring a bell from last week. So I think with this exercise, focus more, I mean, we need to focus on the working leg, but it's the supporting leg that's often forgotten about. When we go down and coming back up, it's essentially just a single leg plie. We have to make sure we're still having that sensation of wrap. The knees are going over the toes, so we never want to lose the turnout as we go into a plie, because this is not going to be a great position for the knee to be in for too long. We want to make sure that knee is tracking over the toe. It's much easier to control that when you've got 2 feet on the ground. It gets more challenging when you move to one leg. Even though we're going to be thinking about the wrap of the working leg, try not to neglect the supporting leg, because we definitely don't want to be, practicing that sort of an action. I'll stop talking. Let's get into it. Relax, shake the legs out. Last exercise at the bar, guys. We're getting there. We're just going to do some développés, and then we'll move into the center for a tendu, and then we'll do a little strengthening exercise, and then we're done. So really close to the end now. For these développés, we're going to stay facing the bar, because we're going to work quite low rather than doing, those high extensions, because we're going to focus on the turnout. Starting off in third position, we're going to do développé to the front, toes peel off the floor. So if you haven't done this before, then just, watch the pathway of my leg. The toes go up to the knee, and my thigh is out to the side. This is super common, with développés, is that the thigh rolls forward or even just a little bit. We want to think about thigh open to the side before you move to the front. Toe up to the knee, thigh out to the side. From here, we're going through what is essentially an attitude position. So that's attitude, and then we extend, point, and close. But the leg's going to be low. So toes to the knee, through an attitude, extend, point, and close. Then we go to the side, same pattern. Toes to the knee, unfold the leg, fully stretch the leg, so make sure that the knee isn't doing that. So really pulling up the quad, point, and then close behind. It's the same pattern as the fondue exercise. To the back, 1, 2. This time the toes are going up. So you'll notice the toes went up the shin to the front and to the side. When we go to the back, it's going up the back of the calf. Up the calf muscle, toes to the knee, extend, allow space for that leg so you can slightly pitch the body forward. Don't drop the back, you just slightly kind of bringing the chest forward to make space for the leg, but just, make sure that you're not doing that. And then point, close. From here, we're going to take the toes up to the knee, pass to the front. So this is the same combination as the fondue, but we're just taking it a little bit higher to the back. And then we're ready to do the left side. And when we're taking the toes up to retire, whether you're doing a développé or we're just doing these passes, make sure the hip doesn't come up with you. So as the, if we're getting développés that are going all the way up to our head, you're not going to be able to keep the hips square. But while we're keeping the legs low, it's important to try and maintain that placement of the hips as much as possible. So then when we do start to take the legs up, we're not excessively hiking the hip up as we go into those higher extensions. Let's give it a go. putting the bar away now, we're going to do a center tendu exercise. Now this exercise will challenge your balance in the center. Now that we're away from the bar, we don't have anything to hold on to, so we have to use our muscles to kind of keep us stable. Let's start in first position. On the introduction of the music, the arms will go to first and to second. Now from here, we're going to do 4 tendus to the side. So make sure there's no weight on this working leg, because otherwise it's going to be very hard to stay in the center. So we want to make sure that we're, over the supporting leg, nothing crazy, but just enough to be able to engage that supporting glute, which is going to help you stabilize. So that glute muscle should be really on that supporting leg. 4 tendus to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now here comes the challenge. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To transfer over to the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to repeat the whole thing again, starting with the right leg. So we'll try that right, left, and holding the arms in second position for the whole time. So really feel like the elbows are lifted and we're really shaping the arms. So the palms are forward, the shoulder is down and away from the ear. So you feel like your shoulder's kind of spiraling backwards, the elbows lifted and kind of spiraling around that way. And then the forearm and the hand is just wrapping around at the end. So we get this nice, beautiful lifted shape, and we're not kind of, doing that one. Okay, so starting in first position, here we go. Still try to articulate through the feet. Just place the toes back. Don't fall onto that working leg. Let's go to the right again. Good work. Check those arms. Very nice. Before we finish, don't run away just yet. We're going to bring the bar back out and we're just going to conclude this class with a little strengthening exercise. I'd like to do for the rest of this series is just always finish off with some calf rises. Really important to develop that lower leg strength for pretty much everything that we do in ballet. So it's always a really good idea to finish off with calf rises. It helps with building strength but also injury prevention as well. We're going to do 8 calf rises in parallel on each leg. Now we're going to progress this to more than 8 over the next few weeks. But we're just going to start with 8 today because your calves are probably already pretty tired after all those tendus. Starting in parallel. Really important when we're doing these calf rises that we are focusing on the quality of the movement rather than just kind of going up and down. So we're going to do it pretty slow and controlled and focusing on, while we're in parallel, of the ankle alignment. So making sure that the pressure is not going out to the little toes. We're keeping the alignment of that ankle to go straight through to that big toe, second toe, rather than out to the side. Let's go with music. gets too much, you can always drop down to 2 feet and just do 2 feet. Good. Just going into a calf stretch. So placing the foot back, keep the knees straight, and then front knees bent, and then just slightly pushing into the bar. And swapping over. Lovely work. Thank you so much for joining me for the second week of the Foundation series. I'd love to hear how you're going with it, so get in contact with me and tell me how it's going and tell me how you're feeling, because I'd love to know. And yeah, I'll see you next week for another round.